I want to run an idea by you. There's this book that I read from Willie Lynch letters. I cannot remember the author's name, but it's the Willie Lynch letters. And basically, the idea in the book is that Willie Lynch used certain psychological tricks so that he could continue to hold his slaves, and not even hold his slaves. But when he came to the Caribbean, he was saying to the other slave owners that, hey, you still have your slaves in chains? Do you still beat your chains? That's actually breaking your product. Why are you breaking or destroying your product? Because you actually pay money for them. Why are you destroying? He told them, hey, I have a system. And I have a system that would actually make the slaves serve you without you having to beat them, or without you having to coerce them. And the idea that he brought to them was that you have to firstly make the males psychologically weak. When you make the males psychologically weak and you make the females psychologically strong, and the way he did that was that he took the biggest male out of the pack, took the biggest male out of the plantation, and he would actually tie each arm to a horse and tie one leg to a horse, and he would rip that male apart for all of them to see. And something else he did, and I think I'm okay. And that's one of the things that he did to bring fear into them, so that the mother of the boys now would raise the boys in a way for them to not disobey the master, because they have seen the cruelty of the master. And the mother now is raising the girls to be a lot more psychologically stronger to overcome certain things like rape or certain things that would break them. So you find a situation where the males are physically strong but psychologically weak. And you have a situation where naturally the women are physically weaker than the male, all things considered, and then they are psychologically strong. But then you're going to ask yourself, what is the influence of a psychologically strong female and a psychologically weak male? Look at our society. Look at you, the amount of things that you're doing. Look at you. You could as well be three people all together, all things considered, the amount of things that you're doing. And you would look at our society and you would not judging harshly, because I find myself reading that, I find myself, oh wow, that's true. I am psychologically weak. And when you say psychologically weak, what do you mean? How do you deal with emotions? Can you deal with emotions? Can you make sacrifices? Can you project your mind into the future and formulate an aim and then come back in the present and sacrifice all the bodily functions, sacrifice all the present, not the present moment, but the things that you need to sacrifice for the attainment of that aim? It's difficult to do that when you are psychologically a weak male. And not saying that it's a not shaking my fist at males saying you are psychologically weak. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there's a history where those things were actually done deliberately. And you could look outside. Don't take my theory for it. Look outside to see the amount of men you see by the block, to see the amount
Yeah.
of men you see not taking up the responsibilities. You see the amount of women that's now in positions of influence and power, and the amount of men that shine away from responsibility. And it's almost like it's not their fault. It's almost like it's inside of you. It was done to you for such a long. And I will ask anybody to read that book, Willie Lynch Letters. I'll ask anybody just read that book to understand, and you will look at yourself and you will see, wow. So the women now are psychologically stronger than the men. The women now, they have the ability to make those sacrifices and to fight off procrastination, to fight off slowfulness, to fight off the things that take them on track from the aim. And our men fall in prey to all of the psychological traps that are created by the enemy, by the friends, by the society. And it's it's very difficult to watch when you are able to see it. And it's very difficult to overcome as a male trying to overcome that. And like I'm not speaking from a place of being perfect. I'm speaking from a place of understanding what's going on. I'm trying to get out of it. And even speaking, males find it hard to speak, like to have a conversation, like just to do what I'm doing right now. It's almost like it's a fearful thing. I'm saying like, okay, sometimes you can have different personalities. Some males can be introvert, some males, but you cannot have 90% of your population of males being introvert. And even that too, and there's a reason why in the Aborigine society in Australia, there was something called the the initiation process for males, and that's why they did that. They used to take the males and they used to send them up in the hills, and in the hills they used to tell them they used to leave them there, cut their foreskins, something like that, and then allow
Yeah.
them to come down the hill, and they had wild animals, and the society was saying the male who didn't make it back into the society, he was too weak to live into the society. So
Yep.
back then they had an initiation process to make them psychologically strong. But our initiation process, which is our schooling system, what can I say? Look at society.